going to take a look at how I make color flats in Photoshop. Now the first thing I'm going to do is double click this layer and hit enter so that the layer is open. Change the blending mode from normal to multiply. And I'm going to name this line art. Now I'm going to control click this button right here to create another layer below it. And I'm going to call this flats 1. The naming system is subjective to you. You can call it whatever you want. Now I'm just going to hit D to turn my colors to black and white here, and I'm going to hit Alt backspace, which colors it to the foreground color. Control backspace makes it the background color, which is all white. So now this is all white here. I'm going to hit M for the marquee tool, and I'm going to select this box right here. Just like this. Make sure you get it all the way, and you can go a little too far, that's fine. I think I got it. And I'm just going to double click here, grab a random color, and Alt backspace to fill it. And here, Alt backspace, Alt backspace, and you get the idea. Boom. Alright, Control D that. Now what have we done here? If I hit W for the magic wand, now that I have the magic wand, if you click on here, you can see it's selecting that red area. If I click on the outside of it, it's selecting everything else. Now if I Alt click this eyeball on the line art layer, it will show only that layer. If I Alt click on this one, it will do the same, only show this layer. So this is my flats layer. What I've done is I've saved a selection. That's basically what I've done here. I've saved a selection. If I have contiguous on, it'll make it so that you have to select, like if you click on this red, it will only select that red. If I turn it off, it makes it so that if I select this red, it will select all of that exact same color. They don't have to be right up against each other. Okay, now let's take this further. I am going to create another layer and say flats 2. And now here's what we're going to do. We're going to go in and we're going to get a little more detailed. Now, my primary way of doing this in Photoshop is that I use the lasso tool. And inside the lasso tool, I'm just going to hold Alt and I'm going to click, click, click. And it basically works like a polygonal lasso tool. See that? And once it gets kind of far, I'll just kind of go like that. And then I'll just pick a random color, doesn't matter what it is, and fill it. Again, just Alt backspace is my hotkey for that. And I'm just going to go around and I'm just going to continue to do this. And I'm not going to worry about getting this exactly for the sake of this tutorial here. If I'm not mistaken, I think this line art was somewhat made with some 3D, and I think that's the reason why it's super detailed looking, which can make flats a little bit more difficult. So if I'm a little off, forgive me. Again, I'm just click, click. I'm holding Alt the whole time. Click, click, click. Click, click, click. And now here's what I'm going to do. I'm still holding Alt and I'm not going to just click. I'm going to click and hold and I'm going to draw out there. I'm going to do that again. Push that out. Click, 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 click and hold. Click, 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 click and hold. Click and hold. Click. Bring that up. That. Boom. Okay. So what am I doing here? If I click and hold, it's the regular lasso tool. And I'm just, it's free flowing, right? So obviously if you had to do this whole thing like this, it'd probably take forever, right? And if you use the regular polygonal lasso tool, this guy right here, then here's what you got to do. Click, 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 click. And see, right now my stylus is free. I'm not clicking and I'm not dragging. So I have to hit enter in order to finalize it. So now if I go over to my regular lasso tool and I hold Alt to use a polygonal lasso tool instead, all I have to do is let go of Alt, which is just an easier and faster way to working. And at the same time, you have both the regular lasso tool and polygonal lasso tool at the same time. And this is the primary reason why I do this in Photoshop, is this tool right here. This is, in my opinion, the most powerful tool for flatting. And boom, 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 boom. And you just go around. There are other programs to do this in. And there are other methods. This is my method of doing it. The primary reason I do this is because you notice when I let go of that and I just sort of go around all this, I do this, I'm getting everything except that. Like it's not like if I just use a paint bucket, it's not going to get everything underneath the line art. You want to get everything. And again, I'm going to hold down so I can get this more organic shape. Click, 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 hold down. And I just sort of instinctively know, like when it's a more organic shape, it's a little bit curvy, I just want to hold down and lasso that. And I can stop holding down and just click, click to get the harder lines. Hold down. And as you do this a lot, you'll get faster at it. Boom, boom, push this out of the way. I don't know what I'm looking at here. I'm just going to flat this. Boom, push this out of the way. This is a little bit weird, so I'm going to hold down. Boom, trace over this. Trace over this. Push this out. Out, move this here. I'm going to go under here, push this out here, and boom. Does that look good? Let's see what that is. Yeah, I should probably get that. Oh, wrong one. And like so. And I'm okay with that spot there. So now I've got this whole thing taken care of, and you would do essentially everything the same way. You would just simply go in, like say this guy, this thing right here, let's just get all this. Click, 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 boom, here, click, click, let's just get this here, and I'm going to go out to this guy's arm here and move all the way over here. Do some imagination right there. And I'm not sure what I'm looking at here. I'm going to go ahead and flat that as well. And here we go. And boom. And when you go back in, you might find, let's clean that up a bit. And you might find even the reverse. If you hold shift, you can add to your selection like that. And you can just delete that. So now again, the idea is if I hit W, I have the selection saved. Boom. Again, I can turn contiguous on. So that when I select it, it just selects that area, that area. Again, I have on this layer, flats 1, I have this whole box. But on flats 2, I have this whole ship here, and I have this guy right here. And then you would just continue to go through this whole thing, and Now, for the sake of the video, I'm going to go ahead and speed this up a bit, and I'll see you in a few minutes. Alright, now I think this is a good time to come back in. I want to show you a couple other things. Now, I intentionally kind of made the selection a little too big here because I want to select this character and this character separately. Now, the first thing I want to do is hit W, get my magic wand, and I'm going to go into the flats one layer and I'm going to alt click here. So what I did was that I removed this section that was in that white area. Now, the second thing I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to go ahead and fill this whole thing in like so. Now, it's okay that this area was actually too much, because here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to actually define where this character is at. And again, I'm not 100% certain what I'm looking at here. I'm just going to make a guess. I'm going to go here, here, and here. Again, I'm going to alt click here. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, I'm happy where that's at. And I'm going to pick another color, any other color, as long as it's very different. Boom. And I'm not sure what this is right here. I think I'm going to just delete this, because I want to get rid of this blue because I think it's part of the background. So I'm going to W, and I am going to click off here, and I'm going to, meaning alt click, and I'm going to alt click here to get rid of the green area. So now I just have this red area selected and I can delete it. And this is one way to work. You can use the paint bucket as well, and I will show you that in a minute here. But the first thing I want to show you here is just being able to select this and this because they're right up against each other. And this is one way you can do that with the magic wand, is you can just intentionally make the selection a little too big for the first selection and then refine it for the second one. Now up here, did something similar, like I just went ahead and purposely went too far with this blue. So now I can just go in with this here, boom, 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 click, 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 and just go here and get my magic wand. On the flats one, I'm just going to get rid of this part, get rid of this part, go back over to flats 2 and fill it with another color. That way I have this area selected. Now let's look at what we can do here for another method. I'm not going to go over and flat this entire thing right now, but let's see what we can do here with this head. I'm going to just sort of go around here, and let's just see. I'm just going to get this area. I'm going to get this area in here. Click here. And I'm not entirely sure. I'm going to get this side of the outfit here. Now, again, this one thing you can do is you can use a magic wand. Again, just W, alt click here, and then just pick another color, anything, Boom. Now at this point in the video, I just came up across something, and it was a good reminder to me to point this out in the video. This whole time I've had it checked, the magic wand checked on this feature up here. If I highlight over it with a mouse, it says intersect with selection. Now what's happening here is I'm clicking on this, and I click on this, and it doesn't do anything, and I have to click it again. Click on this, doesn't do anything, it just deselects, and then do that. Now if I don't want it to do that, I'm just going to go over here. If you go into the first one, it does this, and you have to hold shift to add to the selection, or hold alt to take away from the selection, and that's the way I want to do it. If you check on this second one here, it will just add to the selection even if you don't have shift held down. With this third one here, it will just take away from the selection. Boom, boom, boom. I did that without even holding alt. But in general, and just leave it on this first one here, it just works more fluently. Another thing is, I realized at the beginning of this video I had anti-aliasing checked on. Normally when I'm comic book coloring, at the early stages, I want to have that checked off, because you just want to make sure that things are super crisp and hard edge, and they already are, so it ended up being okay. But you don't want this to be like blurring and fading out artistically. You want this to be super hard edged. Another thing is, you don't want to have sample all layers turned on at this point in time. There are certain situations where you might want to turn it on, but here if I turn it on, what's going to happen is this. It's going to sample this line art, and that's not going to help us here. So you want to have that checked off. So it's going to ignore the line art. Alright. Now going back to this example here, let's get this side over here. I'm just going to, first of all, I'm going to delete this thing here because I think that that's unnecessary. And I'm going to click on here, 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 go here, here. I'm just going to get this edge here. Don't really know what I'm looking at, but I'm not too worried about it. And I'm going to go up and through here. And if I wanted to flat this whole area, here's what I'm going to do. Let's go over to, click on the gradient tool here. If you don't see a paint bucket, there's paint bucket. Now, if I want this to be this color, I already have it here. But let's say I had something else on. If you just hold Alt, it becomes the eyedropper tool. So just like the polygonal lasso tool, you don't actually have to click on the eyedropper tool over here. You can just, with a paint bucket selected, just hold Alt. But I don't want to just click on it like this, because that can be a little bit dangerous. Why? Because I still have the line art on. Because if I do this, you can accidentally get a darker color than you want because of the line art layer. You want to unhide, or excuse me, hide. You want to hide the line art layer and then click it so that you get a very clean selection. Now if I go here, boom, you see, without even having to use the magic wand and to deselect the other areas, it only got this part that I have selected, and it did not get this area, it did not get this area out here. So those are two different ways of doing it. Again, let's just sort of try to get this particular thing here and not this thing. So this edge here is already selected. This is already selected. Only this is up against this. So all I got to do is grab here and go through here, and now I can just do this. Why? Because if I just hit G, and let's just grab another color here, anything like this, and go boom. Because this edge was already selected, so was this one. I just had to make this selection here. Now it did give me sort of a weird thing here. I'm just gonna, whoop, Go like this, G, boom, done. And then you would work that way through everything in the whole piece. Again, like things like this, that the eyes, you can just go in and just select this area, sort of find the selection. Again, I'm not going to be super perfect about this. And then grab another color, let's say yellow, because why not? And if I wanted to get this part of the eye here, again, this part is already defined. This edge is already defined. I don't have to worry about those. I can just start my lines here. Boom. And then here's another way that you can do it. I can grab this magic wand, grab another color, and say that one for no apparent reason, and I can click there. I'm going to Control Z that and show you another method. With the magic wand, I can click off of this area here to move the selection that way, and then I can bring up the hue saturation dialog box. And then I can just do this. Switch the hue, and then boom, you're done. That way you don't have to always go in every time and grab another color. And I admit, that's usually the way I work. Either method is fine with the magic wand or with the paint bucket tool. Usually I just go ahead and do it that way, only for that reason. It's just a personal preference thing. Just go in here, again, whoop, color, boom. But now with this one, I do want this to be this color, right? I've already started using that color. Why make it a different one? So now here, yes, I want to make it that color. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use the paint bucket in that instance. So you see they both have their strengths and weaknesses. And I admit, sometimes I should probably use the paint bucket a little bit more than I do, and I'm trying to break through that habit. And again, you can always go back in. I saw something I didn't like there. Looks like it should be blue there. And again, it doesn't matter what the color is, because here's what's going to happen in the end. Whenever you get to the end, and let's say I'm just going to hide all this. If you're working, you know, you're just sort of, you know, boom, you got your, let's just bring out a paintbrush here just to make a point. I'm just doing blah 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 blah, doing all this work and just coloring and whatnot. At any given point, I can go back into this layer and I can just go like that, and I can select this whole area and I can just delete it or do whatever I have to do. I can go in, I can change the color of it like this, change the brightness of it like this, and I can control just this area. Or maybe I just want to make sure I stay in the lines. I have this selected and I can just, you know, work like this. This is obviously not useful coloring, but I'm just trying to make the point. And you have the selection saved. Even if you have them unchecked like this, you still have them saved. If I just click on this layer, if you have it invisible was what I mean, I can still click on that. So it really doesn't matter at all whatsoever what the color is in that flat, as long as it's a clearly different color. And there's no, you know, official number of flats layers that you need to have. When I used to flat a long time ago, I would just have one flat layer. A lot of people do that. That's just fine. I kind of like to have like 3 flat layers, like one just, again, for just the boxes, and another one for maybe just like the macro shapes, like this thing right here, you know, these shapes, Like on this one, I'd probably want to, you know, flat these things here and just let that be. And then here I might want to have, you know, this character and this character be separate, and then maybe have like these eyeballs, like say I'd probably want to have those on a third layer. Like if I just sort of, let me delete this here, if I just start bringing it down here, another layer, and just call it like flats 3. Now I have this control C to copy. When I select that, go on flats 3 if I name it correctly, and go to edit, paste special, paste in place. So I just put that there, and let's just say here in flats 2, I only want that to be that color. I don't want to put those finer details in my flats 2 layer. I would want to put that in flats 3. And if I wanted to refine that even more, you know, I can select this blue here and get rid of that blue. So that like flats 1 is just the whole panel. Flats 2 would be these big macro shapes within the panel. And then flats 3, you'd be getting into the smaller details. And that's the idea. I hope this video is helpful for you at all. If you're just browsing through, please consider hitting the like button for me and subscribing to the channel. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching, and take care.